Narinder Kaur destroys Suella Braverman after her demand for Prince Harry's return to the UK, an explosive showdown in an electrifying turn of events that has captured headlines worldwide. Narinder Kaur, a prominent political commentator, has unleashed a blistering attack on Home Secretary Suella Braverman following the latter's controversial comments demanding Prince Harry's return to the UK. The war of words has escalated into a fierce political and cultural debate, one that sparked heated discussions on social media, television, and in the halls of Westminster. On one side stands Suella Braverman, the fiery Home Secretary, known for her hardline positions on immigration, national security, and her conservative stance on many key issues. On the other side, Narinder Kaur, a no-nonsense political analyst, community leader, and outspoken critic of the government, stands ready to deconstruct what she sees as a misguided, politically motivated demand. In this explosive video for C News Channel, we break down the events that led to this fiery confrontation and examine the deeper implications for the UK's political landscape. The spark, Suella Braverman's demand for Prince Harry's return. It all began when Suella Braverman made an unexpected statement during a parliamentary speech. She called for Prince Harry to return to the UK and resume his royal duties, claiming that his departure for California had damaged the monarchy's global reputation. Braverman, a staunch defender of British tradition, expressed her belief that Prince Harry's recent actions, particularly his public criticism of the royal family, had cast a shadow over the institution that defines much of the country's cultural identity. Braverman's demand for Harry's return was framed not just as a personal opinion, but as a national imperative. She argued that the prince's absence, during times of national crises, his controversial memoir, and his media interviews had contributed to the diminishing trust in the monarchy among certain sections of the public. Her call was framed as a plea for Prince Harry to put his differences aside and return to a role that, according to Braverman, he had once promised to honor. This assertion was widely met with criticism, even from within the ranks of her own party. Critics were quick to point out that Braverman's comments seemed more like a strategic move to appeal to conservative voters rather than a legitimate concern for the monarchy. Some speculated that Braverman's real aim was to distract from more pressing domestic issues, such as immigration policy, the state of the NHS, and ongoing economic crises, by stirring up a conversation about the royal family. Narinder Kaur's reaction, a scathing critique. Enter Narinder Kaur, who has become a formidable voice in the political arena. Known for her sharp wit and no-holds-barred commentary, Kaur wasted no time responding to Braverman's provocative demand. In an impassioned segment aired on her own platform, Kaur lambasted the Home Secretary for what she called an out-of-touch and disastrous political statement. What on earth is Suella Braverman talking about? Kaur began, with her characteristic flair. She wants to bring Prince Harry back to the UK, but what for? To pretend like the royal family's dysfunction isn't real. To ignore the toxic environment that drove Harry and Meghan away in the first place. This isn't about Harry. This is about Suella Braverman's desperate need to distract the public from the crumbling state of the country. Kaur took aim at Braverman's own record, accusing the Home Secretary of focusing more on celebrity culture than on the real issues facing ordinary British citizens. Suella Braverman is playing a dangerous game, using Prince Harry as a scapegoat to avoid talking about the state of the NHS, the rise in poverty, the crumbling housing market, and the government's failure to tackle climate change. It's classic deflection. She continued, if Suella Braverman wants to focus on the monarchy, then let's talk about how it's being undermined by the government she represents. The monarchy is no stranger to scandal, and Harry's departure is just one chapter. But why aren't we asking why people feel so alienated from an institution that's meant to symbolize national unity? Maybe we should be questioning the monarchy's relevance in a modern Britain, not wasting time on whether Harry should come back. The debate escalates. Politics, populism, and the monarchy. As the back and forth between Braverman and Kaur escalated, it became clear that this was no longer just a simple disagreement about Prince Harry. The debate was quickly morphing into something larger, a battle for the soul of the UK's political landscape. On one hand, Suella Braverman's comments were seen as a strategic attempt to tap into a populist, nationalist sentiment. Conservative factions have been increasingly vocal in their critiques of the monarchy, but their criticisms have often been laced with a deep sense of cultural pride. Braverman's suggestion that Prince Harry owed it to the nation to return was a reflection of a broader anxiety over the changing role of the monarchy, and indeed, the changing social fabric of the UK itself. Was Harry's departure part of a greater trend of cultural disintegration? And what role, if any, should the government play in managing that? Kaur, on the other hand, was keen to highlight what she saw as the undercurrent of elitism and privilege that ran through Braverman's remarks. Braverman is using Harry as a distraction because it's easier to blame a celebrity for the country's woes than to confront the uncomfortable reality that her own government has failed on nearly every front, Kaur argued. People are struggling to make ends meet, and instead of addressing those very real problems, we're being told to care about whether a prince should return to a family that doesn't represent the majority of us. Kaur also pointed out that Braverman's demand was yet another example of the toxic nationalism that had come to define much of British politics in recent years. This isn't about the monarchy or Harry, Kaur said. It's about creating a narrative of division, setting up an us versus them mentality. It's about using the royal family as a tool to reinforce an idea of Britain that many of us don't recognize or support. The fallout, a divided public opinion. As expected, the public reaction to this verbal showdown was polarized. On one side, those who already supported Braverman's hardline conservative stance rallied behind her, praising her for speaking out in defense of the monarchy. They argued that Prince Harry's decision to leave Britain had indeed diminished the royal family's stature, and that it was right for someone in a position of power to call for his return. On the other side, Kaur's supporters praised her for bringing the conversation back to the issues that truly mattered. Her take resonated with a significant portion of the public who felt disillusioned with both the monarchy and the government. For them, Prince Harry's personal decisions were irrelevant in the larger context of national challenges. Kaur's critique also struck a chord with those who saw Braverman's remarks as politically opportunistic, an attempt to divert attention from the growing economic crisis. Both sides, however, agreed on one thing: the monarchy remains a deeply polarizing issue in Britain. Whether it's Prince Harry's exile or Braverman's attempt to bring him back, the royal family's role in modern British life is more contested than ever before. What does this mean for the future? The confrontation between Narinder Kaur and Suella Braverman has thrown a spotlight on some of the most pressing issues in contemporary British politics: nationalism, class, and the role of the monarchy in an increasingly diverse and fractured society. While Braverman's demand for Prince Harry's return was framed as an attempt to rally the nation around the monarchy, Kaur's blistering critique revealed the deep divisions within the public and the government's struggle to address the true challenges facing the UK. Ultimately, the fallout from this fiery exchange may have lasting implications for both figures. For Braverman, it could either solidify her position among the far right of the Conservative Party or expose her as out of touch with the everyday concerns of voters. For Kaur, this public clash could further elevate her as a voice of reason in a time of political chaos, or, conversely, position her as an outspoken critic of the political elite. As for Prince Harry, his future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: he's become a symbol not just of royal drama, but of a larger conversation about the changing nature of Britain's identity and its place in the world. Stay tuned, as we continue to follow this story. This is C News, where we bring you the latest updates on the most significant political developments.